I'm exhausted just thinking about talking about this book. Strap in, it's gonna be a rough one. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jamie and I have another recent release review for you, but I'm gonna be very honest and upfront right away. This is gonna be a bit of a rant review, so you already know how I feel about this. And if you are not into rant reviews, I totally get that. If you loved this book and you don't want to hear me say bad things about it, I understand that. Go ahead, click off the video. I will not be offended. I gotta get this out there because I was provided an ARC copy for review by Netgalley and Macmillan Audio. I am so grateful for being provided that ARC in exchange for a fair and honest review, and as I did complete the book, I do think that it is only fair that I provide my honest opinions on it. So there's your warning. This will be a rant review, but it will still be spoiler free. And even though this book did not work for me, I'm still going to give the outline of who I think this might work for, in case you're coming to this video to get an idea of whether or not you should pick it up. Okay, so Starling House by Alix E. Harrow. What is this? What's going on here? Well, first of all, Alix E. Harrow is a very popular author with many big hits under her belt already, so, she doesn't need my approval. But this is my first time reading her work, so I have no previous experience with this author. Getting into the highline synopsis, Starling House is a contemporary haunted house mystery, fantasy, romance. It's set in modern-day Kentucky in a town called Eden where the people and the town seems to be cursed, and at the center of this curse is none other than Starling House, a mysterious old manor that seems to be haunted, but no one has really been willing to talk to the creepy caretaker to figure out what's going on. Enter our protagonist Opal, who is a 20-something woman who is kind of down on her luck. She's supporting her brother after their mother died in a horrible accident that she was also a part of but survived. She's working in the town, but she finds herself very strangely drawn to this mysterious Starling House. She ends up meeting the mysterious Arthur, who seems to be the caretaker of the house, and she accepts a job with him. Once inside Starling House, she recognizes that this house is not just haunted, but maybe even has a mind of its own. So what is going on at Starling House, and why is it calling to Opal? That is at the center of the mystery here in Starling House. This book has been described as atmospheric with some kind of dark mystery elements to it. And while I agree that that is somewhat present, I really think that is a much smaller piece of the story than it was pitched to me, at least. Okay, getting right into my thoughts on this book. I found this book very exhausting to read, mostly because I found it so bland. I found this book so boring, so formulaic, filled with tropes and cliches and one-note characters. Honestly, this book felt like it was just a collection of all of the buzzwords and all of the things that people get riled up about on the internet over books, and just like stuffed into one book with like virtually no point. Look, I did say this was going to be a rant review, so this might get a little rough, so just you've been warned. For me, this book falls into the trap that I feel like so many contemporary books are falling into right now, where they are classified as adult, but really they are just YA books with like a couple explicit scenes. And I have to note that there is much more romance in this book than I was expecting. The romance is not pitched on the book jacket, in the synopsis. It's really not mentioned that much that I've seen so far, but that is what makes up a very large percentage of this book. The reason this book feels so YA to me is because it is overly melodramatic and the characters are just so bland. They are so one note. They're basically just caricatures or just tropes. Like, they have maybe 2 personality qualities and that's just who they are. and they are just in these little boxes and they're doing exactly what you expect them to do. Literally, there are no surprises in this book because it is so formulaic. It unfolds exactly like you expected to, and that was just not enjoyable for me. Add on to that a writing style that really started to get on my nerves. This is another thing that I'm noticing, another trend. I am really tired of the contemporary first person voice. It's like every character has the same exact voice and the same character arc. They're all like, oh, I'm from this small town where nothing happens and I'm not special and I'm not good enough for this, or I'm this or I'm that. And then they go through the arc of like discovering their self-power, and it's so boring. It's truly so boring. This book just, it nearly sent me over the edge. I would have DNF'd this book if it was not for the fact that I was provided an arc and I wanted to actually finish it and provide fair and honest feedback. It would not have been fair for me to give a review for the book that I did not finish. So I pushed through it, but had I not been given the arc, I certainly would have DNF'd this because I am so tired of this contemporary first person voice that is just so ubiquitous amongst contemporary adult novels right now. I feel like every single protagonist has the same exact, selection of characteristics. They sound exactly the same, they act the same, and I'm just tired of it. I don't like the self-aware writing style unless you're explicitly writing like a satire or something. And then for me, I felt that Harrow's writing style was just like completely overstuffed. Like the prose was really overdone, and I like flowery prose, but I wouldn't call this flowery. I would just say that like it was very bloated. I just tend to not like first person because I feel like it's very often done very poorly, and I don't think here is the exception. I mean, to be fair, this book does have two perspectives, and one of them is actually in third person, and that just is super weird. Like the format of this book, I was just like, why would you have half the book in first person perspective and half of it in third person, but from the point of view of a different character? Like that feels to me just like what was the point of that? Was that done in a way that like artistically or substantially enhances the book, or was that just like a fun thing that you're like, oh, has anybody ever done this before? Like it's super weird. But to me, I did not feel like it added anything at all. I felt like it was distracting, and it didn't help that both, even though they're different characters and different POVs, the writing sounds the same, and it's over bloated. It's these like obnoxiously long sentences followed by a bunch of fragments, and it felt juvenile. It the writing felt very, very juvenile. A lot of things about this book felt juvenile to me, actually. Like the romance, cliche, boring, bland. I did not care about these two, and the chemistry was not there for me. The plot, oh my gosh, when it wasn't being the most formulaic thing ever, it was exhausting to deal with the details. It was repetitive. It was at some points kind of convoluted because I feel like she was trying to show that this is like a really intricate story, and it's not intricate. It's just bloated. Look, honestly, I could not wait to get done with this book. Like I said, I would have DNF'd it, but at one point I upped the narration speed to 3 times speed, something I have never done before, and it still could not get the book over with fast enough. Like, I was so exhausted reading this book. I was never invested. It felt so boring. It felt like it was just pulling things from other, better, more inventive books, smashing them all together in what I honestly think is kind of just trying to target the modern bookstagram, book talk, booktube kind of vibe. Like it almost feels AI written. I do see what the author was going for, and I do see how this collection of ideas really is in line with what readers are currently gravitating towards. And like, I can see this is the kind of book that you would write if you're trying to get a TV or a film deal or something like that, because it does have all of the trappings of the things that seem to be popular right now. My problem is that it doesn't feel authentic. It does not feel like it was written from a place of like, you know, this story was something this author wanted to tell. It feels like it was written from a place of, these are the things, these are the bullet points of things that sell right now. I am not at all saying that that's actually how Alix E. Harrow wrote the book. I'm just saying that's how it felt to me as I was reading this book. I just did not feel the passion. I didn't feel the soul. I really didn't even feel the atmosphere because I was so bogged down by like this list of bullet points that we had to get through. But to be completely fair, I'm probably not the reader for this book. Like, I am not the person that this book is trying to be sold to, because I don't like those bullet point tropes. I don't pick up books for the romance arc, you know, like I don't pick them up for tropes. I am mostly a literary fiction reader. I was picking this up for the thriller or mystery haunted house elements, and those were just simply not what this story is. So it could have been that the marketing misled me to pick up this book, but if I would have been told that, you know, this is primarily romance, this feels like a YA book, I probably would not have picked it up, because I hate YA. This is well known on my channel. And this definitely falls in the new category of, I guess, new adult is what is being thrown around right now, which is basically like, it's a YA book with some extra curse words and some explicit romance scenes. That's really the difference, but it reads the same. It's a very modern, contemporary voice told in first person with a lot of formulaic plot elements. That is just not going to be for me. So take all of this with, you know, the usual grain of salt, with the fact that I'm a, you know, random reviewer on the internet, but also accounting for my taste. If I would have known that that's what this book was, I wouldn't have picked it up. If you tend to like the new adult category, it's still very loosely defined, so that's why I put it in air quotes, but if you do like that category of book, you know, this might work for you. It's just so far from what works for me, and I'm frustrated that it was pitched the way it was pitched and that it was called an adult book, because to me it does not have the depth, the nuance, the craft to be in, you know, that category of book. Okay, I think I've said all I need to say about this book. Clearly, it was not a win for me. I gave it 2 stars. I don't know that I will be picking up this author again, even though, like I said at the beginning, she does have a couple books that have been very well received and I've definitely been interested in. I'm just a little bit nervous now because her writing style is not, it's just not my favorite thing. But I don't know. Let me know if you know if her books are, you know, drastically different from this one. I may still pick her up in the future. It's just this one was a struggle for me. There you go. That is my review for Starling House by Alix E. Harrow. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, week, month, year, and I will see you back here next time for another recent release review. Thanks so much. Bye.